Eva had nurtured silence like a suit of armor, concealing the turbulent waves inside her ever since she moved in with Kat. Beneath the calm exterior lay quiet calculations, a mixture of wounds, longing, and a nameless sense of inferiority. But once she learned that Leslie's mother was about to receive a large inheritance, enough money to erase all financial dependency, Eva began to change. No longer the younger sister living on the margins of Kat's life, she started to reconstruct everything, from her attitude to her behavior. Her eyes no longer avoided others, her smile no longer carried hesitation. And then, when she chose to meet Tomas in private, no one could have imagined she carried a secret capable of reshaping the future of all three of them. The story between Eva and Tomas did not begin with love, but with the collision of two damaged souls. Tomas, a man who once shared a deep bond with Kat, had walked a difficult path beside her. In Kat, he had found stability and a safe future. But with Eva came a sense of uncertainty, unpredictability, and therefore allure. Eva, with her eyes always hinting at what remained unsaid, gave Tomas a thrill he had never felt with Kat. The late-night conversations, the stolen glances that lingered longer than necessary, all accumulated into a haze of memory, torn between guilt and desire. Now, with Eva's revelation that she was pregnant, everything plunged into chaos. She told Tomas the child was his. Those words were like a sword cutting through his relationship with Kat, and at the same time a key unlocking the door to an entirely different future. Tomas did not know if Eva spoke the truth or if she was playing a dangerous gamble. He recalled one drunken night when the distance between him and Eva had shrunk to a single breath. But he wasn't sure, was that night real, or a fabrication woven by a woman desperate to drive him away from Kat? Eva gave him no time to reflect. She spoke of the child as proof of their bond, a declaration of her place in his life. Yet Tomas could not decide if Eva truly loved him, or if she merely sought victory over Kat. He searched her eyes, hoping to find truth in their softness, but the deeper he looked, the more he lost himself in a maze of emotions with no exit. Kat, always trusting her instincts, began to sense the invisible distance growing between her and Tomas. She did not know about the pregnancy, but she knew Eva was hiding something. Tomas's distracted looks, his late nights out, all were clear signs. Kat did not confront them immediately. She observed, recorded, and quietly prepared for the inevitable reckoning. Meanwhile, Eva began to use the inheritance Leslie would soon receive as psychological leverage. She told Tomas she was ready to leave Kat's house, to live independently, to build a future for herself and the child. But she did not leave right away. She stayed, lingering like a ghost in their shared home, fueling Kat's suspicions with each passing day. Tomas was torn apart. Part of him wanted to believe the child was his, that Eva truly loved him, that everything could begin anew in a way no one had anticipated. But another part warned him this might be Eva's most elaborate trap yet, crafted to take everything Kat possessed. He could not confess to Kat, for that would mean confirming her worst fears. Yet he also could not abandon Eva if the child truly was his own flesh and blood. In the days that followed, the atmosphere in their home thickened into something suffocating. Every glance exchanged carried unspoken questions. Eva always wore her ambiguous smile, as if she had already won before the battle even began. Kat grew stronger on the outside, though inside her doubts raged endlessly. And Tomas, caught between the two women, lost his sense of direction, becoming a man controlled by secrets that refused to be revealed. Things only worsened when a DNA test result arrived for Tomas. Inside the envelope lay confirmation, the child was indeed his. Armed with this proof, Eva gained new strength. She no longer needed to hide. She openly confessed that she loved Tomas, or at least loved the feeling of possessing him, of wounding Kat. She admitted that at first, everything had been a plan to prove to Kat that she was not a loser. But then emotions had tangled the scheme, leaving her uncertain. Perhaps she loved Tomas. Perhaps not. But one thing was clear, she would not allow Kat to have him. When Kat learned the truth, she did not cry. She did not blame Tomas, nor erupt at Eva. Instead, she quietly withdrew, as though she had foreseen it all. But it was precisely this calmness that pierced Tomas with the deepest guilt. He realized that his love for Kat had never been about thrills, but about a profound connection, built on years of shared moments, sacrifice, and trust. Eva, even while carrying his child, remained tied to a past of tangled dangers, where truth was always distorted by pride and possessiveness. Yet every choice now led to loss. No matter whom Tomas chose, the consequences had already been sown. The child, innocent though it was, would become the epicenter of a relentless emotional battle. If Tomas chose Kat, he would be haunted by the child he denied. If he chose Eva, he would always doubt whether that love was genuine or merely the echo of a power struggle. The Dupree-Richardson family, already fractured by the secrets of earlier generations, now faced a new tragedy born from its youngest members. What seemed like a revelation that could bind people together instead became the spark for irreversible destruction. And within the fog of truth and lies, no one could tell whether anything could still be saved or if it was already too late to turn back. Leslie had never imagined that the moment of confrontation with Anita would be so swift and brutal. For years, she had lived with the feeling of being robbed an unnoticed daughter, an heir without a name, an outsider in a family story where she was meant to be at the center. But fate had shifted. Barbara passed away, leaving behind an unexpected inheritance that Leslie hadn't anticipated. This money was not just material wealth, it was the final affirmation that she truly belonged to this family. She was no longer the forgotten ghost. And so, she came to confront Anita, not only to claim her rightful share of the fortune but to assert the position she believed she deserved. But Leslie had miscalculated. In the excitement of her newfound fortune, she lost the caution she had always carried. She hadn't considered the defenses Anita had built over the years. Anita was never one to be easily subdued. She didn't need to speak loudly to declare her power. A mere glance, a straight-backed posture, was enough to make anyone feel like they were stepping into the territory of a fierce predator. When Leslie arrived, Anita was ready. Dressed in an outfit carefully selected for the occasion, amidst a family gathering with powerful figures present, Anita did not retreat. She was not merely protecting her wealth, but also her reputation, her past, and the position she had built with blood, sweat, and calculation. Leslie entered like a challenger, carrying with her a rage, youth, and the belief that justice was on her side. But Anita did not give her time to dominate. With a cold, sharp tone, Anita reversed every narrative. Who was Leslie? Where did she come from? How had she been treated? Anita left no space for Leslie to counterattack. The accusations Leslie made, that Anita had once denied her existence, that she had tried to bury all traces of Barbara and the legacy she left behind, were turned by Anita into sophisticated justifications. She skillfully made others question Leslie's motives, asking whether she was here for righteousness or simply driven by greed and the desire for indulgence from a late will. And then, in a moment when Leslie was about to break in disappointment, Anita struck. This was not just a physical blow, but a psychological strike carefully calculated. In front of everyone, she humiliated Leslie like a bratty, ungrateful child. In an instant, Leslie's anger reached its peak, but then it turned to shame. She felt the eyes on her, the whispers beginning to spread. But instead of turning away, Leslie clenched her fists, holding back tears and the frustration inside. She chose not to retreat. Her rage now was no longer a knee-jerk reaction, but a driving force to claim everything back, at any cost. From a corner, Eva watched in silence. She had never seen Leslie like this, fragile, yet unbroken. She had never doubted her place in this house, but now she wasn't so sure. If Leslie truly was Barbara's daughter, then their relationship was not just that of adopted siblings. Eva began to wonder, was she merely a pawn in Anita and Nicole's hands, used to maintain the family's stability? She thought back to the times she was told to stay away from Leslie, the vague warnings. Now she understood. Everything wasn't as simple as she had been told. The question Eva faced now was not who was right or wrong, but who needed her more. Leslie, with the same bloodline, was fighting alone in the shadows. Anita, who had once sheltered her, might now be plotting her future as part of a bigger game. Eva was in turmoil. She no longer knew what to believe, whether to choose loyalty or the truth, whether to protect the family that had raised her or to return to the roots just revealed to her. But a secret no one had mentioned could change everything. Anita still held an old will from Barbara, the original one, written before Leslie had reappeared. In that document, the entire estate was left to someone else, not Leslie. Anita had kept this document as her trump card, waiting for the right moment to strike with a fatal blow. If she revealed it, Leslie would lose everything. Not only would she lose her inheritance, but also the dignity and standing she had just won through so much effort. The question now was, would Anita dare use it? Revealing the will would also mean admitting that she had known about Leslie for a long time, but had deliberately concealed and denied it. It would destroy her reputation, ruin the image of the noble woman she had carefully built. But if she didn't use it, Leslie could overturn everything, even forcing Anita to face legal accusations, dragging the family's scandal into the high society spotlight. The situation was now like a tense endgame in chess. Each player held a powerful card, but none could make a move without risking everything. Leslie, though new to the game, now understood that one wrong step could send her back into the abyss. Anita, though still holding much power, began to feel that this game was not as easily controlled as before. Eva, caught in the middle, could be the one to tip the scales, but even she didn't know which side she belonged to. And so, the secrets, grudges, suspicions, and desires began to intertwine, creating a web of conflict where a single careless move could bring everything crashing down. In this world, no one was outside the game, and every relationship could be exploited, betrayed, or redefined in the blink of an eye. The truth was no longer something anyone sought, it was simply a tool to serve the final victory. When Andre received the news about Derek's condition, he didn't hesitate for a moment and rushed straight to the hospital. However, when he entered the room, what he didn't expect was Ashley's reaction. She should have felt relieved to see him, but instead, her eyes were filled with confusion. There was something there, an indescribable feeling, between the tears and the suffering. Andre could sense the deep sorrow within her, and though he couldn't put it into words, he knew that her life had been full of challenges. Derek, the man Ashley had loved, who had hurt her, and now was facing death, was a complicated relationship not easy to move past. But Andre also realized something. In Ashley's gaze, there was clear hesitation. She wasn't just heartbroken over Derek, there was an uncertainty, an unavoidable ambiguity about the feelings she had for Andre. He didn't dare rush in or express any romantic intentions. He simply stayed by her side, the only friend who could listen and share in her most vulnerable moments. His silence wasn't distance, but patience and comfort. He understood that, at this moment, Ashley needed time. She needed to face her emotions on her own, not to please Andre, but to please herself. Ashley looked at Andre, feeling the warmth in his eyes, and that gave her some relief, but also great inner turmoil. Could she let him into her heart, when the past still weighed so heavily on her? The anguish in her wasn't because she didn't love Andre, but because she felt guilty toward Derek. Perhaps, a part of her still loved Derek, even though she knew their relationship was no longer what it used to be. She felt Andre's comfort, but she couldn't detach herself from the guilt of what had happened between her and Derek. When Derek woke up, his reaction to Andre's presence was hard to predict. The jealousy and the pain from their past relationship could easily make him angry. Andre knew that, although he just wanted to help Ashley, in Derek's eyes, he could easily be seen as the man who was taking Ashley away. But Andre didn't let Derek's anger affect him. He remained standing there quietly, offering only a brief greeting to Derek, but everything seemed irreparable. He didn't want to compete with Ashley's past, he simply wanted to be there, beside her, when she needed him the most. And perhaps, in that silence, Ashley realized something important. Andre wasn't like Derek, he wasn't someone who would make her choose between love and jealousy. Andre didn't ask her to choose him, he just wanted her to know that when she felt weary, when her heart needed a solid shoulder, he would always be there. His silence was perhaps what Ashley needed, because it wasn't forcing her, it didn't put any pressure on her, it was simply the presence of someone who was always ready to share everything. However, no one could escape the complexity of this story. As Andre and Ashley grew closer and the feeling of a new love began to bloom, Dany appeared like a storm, shaking everything up. She had been watching everything from the shadows, and when she saw the sensitive moment between Andre and Ashley, she couldn't keep quiet. Dany wasted no time accusing Andre of betrayal, making everyone around them rise up to defend the truth. Dany didn't just attack Andre over his romantic involvement, but also struck at Ashley's trust in honesty and making the right choices. She couldn't understand why Ashley would allow Andre into her life after everything that had happened. To Dany, Andre was the only one who could offer Ashley the safety and love she deserved. But Dany's appearance only made the tension more palpable. The three of them were stepping into a psychological battle, where there wasn't only jealousy, but also betrayal, loyalty, and complicated relationships. For Dany, this was an opportunity to prove that Andre wasn't someone Ashley could rely on. She wanted to show that the relationship between Ashley and Andre would only lead to disappointment, that Andre was just using Ashley's emotions to satisfy his own desires. But did Dany have the strength to break the budding relationship between Andre and Ashley? Or would she be the one to make them realize that true love could overcome all challenges if they dared to face it? While these three continued to struggle with each other, Andre and Ashley had to face their own choice. Could they overcome the barriers, the complexities of their feelings, and the difficulties Dany brought into their lives? Or would Andre have to step back once more, giving space to the pains of the past?